My name is Darius J Wright. And as a child growing up, you could say I was always aware of the nature of reality, of where we came from, our true state, our home. I remember remembering the other side and actually stating to myself, this is my last time here. And that's something that was always present for me as a child and also in my upbringing as well. You could say I was raised in a non-traditional way. All of my abilities were constantly being fostered. They weren't being told to be shut down. This was as basic as looking at certain things, reading energy, and even having out-of-body experiences as a child, but unaware that that's what was happening because due to a lot of fear that I had. And so it all started when I turned 16, really. At 16 years old, I was taken out of this construct for the first time, or what people say, replace the word construct with the universe. So people understand the universe as scientific terms as the known universe. And I just call it a construct because that's what it's called on the other side. And that's what I was taken out of to see it, you could say, from God's point of view, and showing how the first thoughts, showing who we are, what this place is. And it took me a long time to begin to understand all this information, because it's like having one near-death experience. You have all of this experience and all this stuff that has happened. You can't really formate it into words. And at 16, that's what happened. I could only tell you feelings, sensations. It felt like this, or it was like this. And through the countless years now of doing this, like every single week, I would say, and sometimes every single day of accessing things, going back to the other side, I was able to understand more what this place is, the 12 heavens, the construct, and who we are, our souls, and our true home. And you could say this is one of the most important missions for every soul. People have been away from home far too long, and they've forgotten their home, and this is why they fear. So a lot of people are in a lot of fear because they've forgotten their true state, where they come from, their divinity. They think that this is all there is and this is all there can be. And because they're in a state where they believe that the universe dictates consciousness. And the universe does not dictate consciousness. Your consciousness dictates the universe, because you are an infinite being. You live on forever, and your soul is the dictator of all things. And this is where you go into the spoken word, who you are, the will of the soul, creation itself. And so that is the beginning to where I'm at now in the pursuit to doing the mission of waking people up to the other side. An out-of-body state is no different from a near-death experience. Now, there could be a lot of confusion in here because your heart is not necessarily a pump in the way that they would want you to believe it to be, but it's actually an electromagnetic generator that holds an electromagnetic field all around you. And this electromagnetic field, the stronger that it is, the more that it glues your soul into the body. When you die, near-death experience, this magnetic field, the heart, lowers. So you leave. You have a near-death experience. With a controlled out-of-body state, you're doing the same thing. You're lowering the heart rate to a degree where the field is lower so you can leave the body. Now, sleep paralysis is the gateway to the other side, you could say. It's the gateway to do it controlled. It's the process of doing this controlled as well. So when you're in a state of sleep paralysis, this is when your brainwave is in a delta state. And also your heart rate is extremely low because you're lowering the electromagnetic field of the body. And if one were to stay calm in that state and not go through panic, anxiety, fear, which the brainwave increases, and therefore the electromagnetic field, the heart increases too, heart rate, you end up waking yourself back up. And when you're in this state, a controlled state, and you allow yourself to go deeper, in essence, what you're doing is you're lowering this even further and further and further to where you come right out of your body. That's what sleep paralysis is. And that's what has been happening to me for years now. Like I said, since a child, it was learning how to get control over this state, which was something that I've taught myself how to do, get control over it and leave my body at will. And once you are outside of the body, the moment when you leave the body, your soul holds physicality. Your soul is physical. It's not an airy-fairy experience. It's actually more real and more physical than what we live right here, right now. Because We all have a limited access to the light spectrum our physical brain could decode, which is like 1% of the light spectrum. So when you leave the body, your soul is accessing more of that light, more of the all of the light spectrum. So it is more real than what you could ever experience here. So much so when you leave, you look at your soul and you start rubbing your hands and you're like, wow, this is the true state. This is my divinity, because that is your true home. That is your true body that is never corrupted or can never die. And when you look back at your body on the bed, there's an instant, like it's instant, that you realize, okay, that's not me. That's the vehicle that I'm using. And so people that believe that this is a hallucination or dream, I want to state this. I spent, I would say, about 3 years trying to disprove myself that this isn't real. And this is why I started to do experiments to show and prove to myself, is this actually hallucination? This is why I started targeting things. I started seeing people do things in real time, like seeing friends do things that I could never know unless I was physically there. Impossible for me to know, even to the exact things that they said, TV shows that they were watching. I've had a lot of people share that as well. A woman called Kelly was viewing her son in the military and seeing where her son was, what he was doing, accessing his thoughts, like his field. And after that experience as well, coming back to him and calling him from coming out of that experience to see that everything that she saw was 100% accurate. So the moment when you leave the body, what you're going to notice is that you're accessing real-time events happening here. But not only that, you're accessing the whole field of that individual in your field as well. And this is, you could say, potential time events, thought forms, because what you think is still in the field of your energetic field, your electromagnetic field that's through the heart. All that's still present. And you could view all of those things. All those things are present. And you could accurately target things in real time to basically prove to yourself that what you're seeing is real. You could write something on a whiteboard, 1 to 9, or a word or a number, whatever it is. And you could come out of your body, accurately see that, and then come back, call the person who's done it, and then you could see that everything that you're seeing is accurate. Like I said, I've done this for myself 5 days straight in a row, and I've done it in a group setting. And it's been very, very accurate because you're accessing what's actually here. You're seeing the truth. And this is in every near-death experience account too. They will attest to this. When they die, whether if it's in a hospital bed, when they come out of their body, they're viewing the whole scene of their death. They're viewing everything. They could see their loved ones. They could see the operating table. And as I stated in the beginning, the out-of-body state is no different because you're doing the same process. You are observing all of that as well, wherever you are. And you can access a lot more too. So it's not a hallucination of the mind. These are things that science or powers that be would want people to believe because they want to disconnect you from your true state. Because once you realize that your soul, who you actually are, your true essence of who you are, it changes your whole life forever. It changes every single soul. Every single near-death experience person has always been changed from that experience. They never return back to that docile state because they know. There's a difference between believing. A lot of people listening to this, they may believe what I'm saying. They have a belief in it. And until they experience it themselves, it becomes an absolute knowing. You realize that the things that you do here do matter. The regrettable is the unforgettable on the other side. That unconditional love matters. Love matters. Sharing that here, because once you leave here, you are the only person that you can never escape. And the things that you do outside of love are the sins that you will carry on the other side. The unforgivable sin is a sin that you can't forgive yourself for. And so when people realize this, and people realize this en masse, this quite literally will change this entire realm forever for the betterment. Because right now, the only reason why this place is the way it is because a vast number of souls have forgotten their home and their true state. And this is why they fear. And because they're in fear, they start acting in greed, start doing things outside of love, the opposite of love. Because they think that this is all there is. And this is not. There is much more to you than what people could even imagine. when you're out, you could sense the person that's out of the body. You could sense people that have died too. So if someone dies, you could sense that person near you. Some people feel this all the time. A loved one passed and they could feel them. Animals could sense more of that too, because when you look at the light spectrum that some animals, especially cats, could access, is more than what the human could access. So they're seeing more of it. And there's even technology that has been produced or created to basically view more of that light spectrum. And this is where you get the whole ghost and things like that. It's not ghosts, you're just seeing the souls that are here. So to communicate with them, even deceased relatives, people that have passed, if you are very sensitive, you can actually contact these individuals. This is where you get psychics or mediums. But when you're out of your body, you are physically there. Like, it's no different from me sitting down here having a conversation with you or anybody around me. Once you're out of your body, you're physically present, interacting. The touch is physical. So you could physically interact with all of these beings once you're out of your body in your soul state, which is the out of body state. And you hear this as well with near-death experience people, where they say, oh, an angel came to me, or what have you. And it's a physical interaction. We are able to see them, and they're also able to see us. So that's how you do it. Through controlled out-of-body state, near-death experience, but you don't have to die. Or you are just incredibly in tune energetically to sense these things. That's what they call the sixth sense. So even my Uncle Bob that has passed is the reason why, he's telling about the great work stuff. And the reason why I've even started what I'm starting now is because I contacted him and he came to me. And he actually showed, this is why I'm so big on love and making sure that you do all things in love here. Because he showed me, not in judgment of me, but he showed me a short life review. And he showed me the things that I was doing outside of love here. And it brought me to my knees in absolute pain. It was the greatest pain that I've ever felt. And there's nothing that compares to that, because once you see yourself and you are back on the other side and you see the things that you've done outside of love, love is the thing that will bring every single soul to their knees. And it did for me. I started changing certain things, doing things to the best of my ability, in integrity for myself, integrity for the information, and in love at every aspect of my life. In doing this, making sure that I do it to the best of my ability. But you could access your deceased loved ones, passed away loved ones, because they're not dead. Nothing dies. Nothing is ever lost. And they are on the other side, creating their own heavens. They're in their own heaven. They're in their own paradise. And so death is not something that should be cried about or it should be celebrated, because they are seeing things and accessing things and back in their true home. It's nothing but bliss there. Each individual soul has a field. Physically, this field is being generated by the heart. And the best way to understand the field is understanding or using the concept of the internet and a computer. So right now, the physical body, replace the physical body with the computer and the internet with the field. Every single individual, being the computer, has access to the internet. So when you're outside of your body, you could interact with the entirety of the internet, the entirety of the field. So there's a lot of people, even myself, this is things that I had to face for myself, where you are in a state where you hide things. And this goes into what is called your subconscious, but it's still within your field. But when you're outside of your body, you see these things. You're able to observe these things. Also observe other people as well. This is where you could say mind reading, if you want to call it that. But it's not necessarily mind reading. You're just seeing the field for what it is in an individual. And you could also interact with it. You could feel it. You could touch it. You could taste it. I remember one of my friend of mine, he was thinking about something that he hasn't even told anybody, thinking about doing a celebration, Moroccan tents, for a party, essentially. And I was out of my body one day. I went to him to see what was going on. And I was able to see his thought projection in his field, see everything. And then I called him up when I came out of it. And I said, are you planning a celebration? And he said, yeah, but why? What'd you see? And I said, I saw these tents in the backyard, like Moroccan style tents and stuff like that. He said, yeah, I was going to do like this meditation, like type of retreat, but I haven't even told anybody that. I haven't even told my own partner. So there's a lot of accuracy of what you could see. The eyes are the windows to the soul, and you could know when someone's telling a lie, essentially. You could tell that something's off intuitively, just through the frequency. But once you're out, you tune into that frequency as well, but you see it. There's no hiding. Everybody is seen to everybody. And there's nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong to be shown like that, because everything is in a state of unconditional love. People now want to hide their true state. They want to hide away from who they actually are, escape from that due to the constructs of the man's belief system, of putting them in places where they think that they need to act differently from who they are. And this is the unconditional love that people feel when they're on the other side. It's more of acceptance of that soul for what it truly is. Accepting that soul unconditionally, because you cannot have unconditional love with a judgment. So basically, and I know this will sound a bit new agey, but your field does attract to you that which you're putting out there. What you think, what you feel in authenticity dictates even how your cells express themselves. Water holds memory. You could do the rice experiment. You could say, I hate you to water and I love you to the other jar, 2 different forms of rice. 30 days, the rice with the water in it that you said I hate you to will start to decay and mold. The other one will start to ferment, because your words literally are a weapon as well. And they dictate even how your cells will express themselves. When you're in a state of stress, the body will die. Even scientifically proven. You're in a state of love, it does the opposite. So what you feel, what you speak with your authority and your no dictates the reality around you and also the physical vessel that you're using right now. This is why 2 different people could be in the exact same environment. They could be in the exact same place, but 2 of those individuals will be experiencing it differently based off of them, who they are. You could say their beliefs and how they perceive things. So yeah, absolutely. Your field here right now influences not only the physical vessel that you're using for health and to the detriment of yourself, but also your surroundings as well. And it's not necessarily a state of just thinking, because right now I could be thinking something and I'm thinking, but I'm actually not it. It's like a pretend. Like you can't just think it or imagine it in that way. You have to literally be it. You have to be in that frequency of it. And the more that you are actually that, stepping into the frequency, like for instance, I could say I'm all loving. I'm in a state of unconditional love. But then a part of me, I could just be saying that, but a part of me could actually be angry, not in that state. But I'm telling you I am, and I am, and I am. But I'm actually not it. Like I'm not expressing and fully it, if that makes sense. So it's important to just be it completely. But right now, there are certain things that try to limit this ability from the soul. So many things that are suppressing your body, your true state from fully turning online. And if this was not interfered with at all, we would quite literally be living in the Garden of Eden, heaven on earth. Because when a soul truly knows something, knows it 100% without question, that soul within this physical realm is capable of anything. There's limitations here, so I don't want things to be taken out of context either. Totally aware of the pain, I'm totally aware of the suffering. But I'm telling you, if you were to step into true love, it not only changes the individuals that are in your environment, but it changes your environment as well. You could pull somebody that is outside of that to the fullest. You could pull them out of that by loving them, the true state of love, unconditional love, with no judgment. You could pull them out of those deep places. So that one frequency in and of itself, even though it's not a frequency, it's a state of being, has the potential and the authority to change everyone and everything, because everything bows to it. That is the number one state of being that every soul will bow to, is love. So specifically to the place that we're in now, this construct has 12 heavens. Now, you could say how it's biblically stated that we are created in the image of God, but we're actually created in the image of the soul in this construct, these physical vessels. Because when you look at the DNA strand, right now we have 2 helix DNA. And when you actually look at the entirety of it, it's 12. So we have the 12 helix DNA strand. We have 12 dimensional structures that have been measured within the brain. And we have 12 heavens within this construct. Earth, the earthly realm, you could say is the first heaven. You move up, you go into the galactic heaven, the celestial heavens. You skip up to realm 4, you go into the heaven of Eden. Realm 5, you go into you could say what people consider the heaven, which is the cathedral heaven. You even go up further than that, you go up to realm 7, which then you access the heaven of the angels. 8 is the heaven of the seraphims. 9 is the heaven of the gods, and you go up even more. So there's 12 heavens here that could be seen and observed and accessed. And this is where you even go back into history, because the history isn't the true history either. You go back into history of, let's just say, the flood or the reset or the fall of man. At one point, this entirety of this entire construct was open to all of these beings. Here, this is where you get all the history. Everything's here. And all this stuff was shut off due to the fall. This is where you get the war in heaven, the war of the earthly realm. The giants, putrefied giants, the remains of them. The giant chopped down trees here. Even in Australia, the big Uluru was once a giant tree. So even the history has been rewritten to take the human here so far away from the truth where they don't even know it anymore. And when I talk about that this place was heaven, all of the heavens were opened up. Everything was here. This is where you get the pyramids. This is where you get the cathedrals. This is where you get the organic technology, the will of the soul here. We can't even reproduce the structures, the things that they've built, which was all based on also electromagnetic fields, harnessing the ether, harnessing the electromagnetic field within the environment of the entirety of this construct, the free energy, the tools that they would use, which was to enhance their natural abilities in their electromagnetic field for their own gifts as well. And just to show you the vastness of the capability of that time, when you look into travel in the time of the pyramids, I'll say, they were able to, through frequency and through the stargates as well, teleport their physical bodies to different locations within this realm. You'll hear stories of this. They're able to predict time. How were they able to predict time? Because they were accessing the potentialities of time as well. This is where you even get into the technology that's called Project Looking Glass with even inside the government agencies. They've also used versions of looking through potentialities of time. But all this they were doing back then as well, and even far greater than what we could ever produce now. Your soul, when you're out of your body, you have access to potentialities of time also. And so a lot of the history that we're given is rewritten history in order to suppress the true knowledge. Even targeting the Vatican too, when it's outside of my body, a lot of the original texts underneath the tunnels of the Vatican are actually there too. They have an entire library of information that is not even presented to the people. And there are certain places within the entirety of this realm, they've tried to destroy a lot of the original texts, a lot of the original writings, a lot of the original structures as well that were still active. And so when people talk about the galactic war, the fall, the fallen angels, the mud floods, the flood, all of this was happening at the exact same time. These weren't separate events. They were one event. The war in heaven, all one event, all happening at the exact same time. And so the last reset of this place, I would say, is maximum 2,000 years ago. And I'll leave it just 2,000 years, so I'm not stretching it people too far here. And this is where you get the fall. the fall of man, the fallen angels. So when you look at the disappearing civilization, Egypt, Atlantis, what people call Tartaria as well, what I said before, in that time event, this entire construct universe was open. You get all of the angels coming to the earthly realm. You get all of what's considered gods to the earthly realm. All of the entities, all beings and races through the 12 heavens were here. And so when the fall happened, the only thing that happened is they went back to, you could say, their stations, their kingdoms. And some of them have not. Some of them has actually stayed here. Some of them have been here. You even go into Antarctica. This is where they have the Antarctic Treaty, where every country is signed up to the Antarctic Treaty to make sure that you cannot explore those places. Because when you explore Antarctica, you will see that a lot of the pyramid structures are there, and a lot of the original bodies are there too. A lot of the original technology was there of projecting the soul from the physical body into other bodies, other forms as well. So a lot of the beings and races are still here. This is where biblically you go into the fallen ones. And the rest of them have just went back to the other realms, the other places. And most of the races look like humans. Even when you look at angels, they look like humans. So the place that we are in, I'll just say the earthly realm first. This place is a lot larger than what has been told to the public. There are other land masses beyond the poles. The entirety of this realm is a lot larger. And this is where also you get what is considered the fallen ones or the angels, etc., that are still here. They are on those other land masses beyond. You look into Admiral Byrd. Admiral Byrd did an exhibition to Antarctica. He was actually part of the exhibition there to see and find things in Antarctica, and he flew past beyond the poles and found other land masses. I've seen those out of my body. I've observed those out of my body. Now, when you look at the entirety of this place from the other side, when you're out, this place isn't as what NASA has depicted it. And people that say that we have proof, we have pictures and stuff, all these are composite. NASA even says that the images that they do are composites. And you have CGI. Space isn't the way that we have been told space is. None of the things that they have stated is actually accurate in that sense. It actually looks, when you're outside, it actually looks like this. And this is why I put this together. So you could say the people here, let's just say those are souls looking from this place from the outside. And you have the firmament above on a plane. And you have the construct, the place that we're in is fixed and immovable. And you have all of the other places of creations based on the will of the soul down here or down here, all different constructs, all different universes. But this universe, this construct that we're in, looks like this. And so when you look at biblically how they've stated the waters above, the waters separated from the waters, God created the firmament, the earthly realm. It's actually true. Everything, the stars, everything is fixed. And space travel is not necessarily the way that they say space travel is. You can't have propulsion in a vacuum. Space is literally just dimensional Stargate portals that access the entirety of the known construct universe into other realms as well. And you could go into the other kingdoms. And it's also past the layer, you could say, of the waters above, and then you access, another realm, another frequency. You could say the second heaven. But you can't actually pierce the firmament above. They've tried to. This is where you get Operation Fishbowl and certain things as well that they've done to try to. But you're not piercing through. But the soul can. Your soul could pass through all of these things and access all of these things. And people will hate you for speaking this truth because people have been so deceived and taken away from their true state of the creation of this. Because when you understand that this place was created, and in simpler terms, to give context, to make this very simple to understand that there is a creator, just so people can follow through, you automatically, every single soul here starts to question again. Well, there's a purpose to you. There's a purpose to this creation. There's a purpose to us. Oh, and then you start questioning, well, if there's a purpose, then this whole place is intelligently designed. My body's intelligently designed. Everything in this place is intelligently designed based off, you could say, the creator. And it's not just one singular being, but like I said, I don't want to get too far into that. And so when you remember this place and all the lies and deceptions that have been told to us, you go back to the truth, because you understand that you're not just this random thing or this little tiny thing in the Big Bang theory. It's still a theory. Gravity's still a theory. It's all based on electromagnetic fields, densities, etc. I think that I'll leave it at that for now. But just so people understand that this place was created, there is a firmament. I'm telling you, this is a 90% of what it looks like from the other side. It's the closest thing that I could visually present people to what we live in, the construct. Even near-death experience people see this as well. But they usually see it as a, because when I first saw it at 16, it was a ball. I saw all these balls and I couldn't understand it at that time either. I was like, okay, well, all these are planets. They're like all these balls. But actually, the more that I started to come out, I actually saw, well, yeah, they all are balls. They all are firmaments, creations. All creations stacked on God's shells, of like I like to call it. This is another image as well. Like when I first was seeing all of these different balls at 16 years old and not really understanding, I just thought, oh, that's a planet. That's a planet. These are all different planets. But they're actually constructs. They're all different universal constructs. They all have a firmament. They're all on a plane. They're all created. And honestly, just through sharing this, like, it's just, when people realize this, you automatically switch to, okay, well, all these are created. We are souls. We are creator beings. And it takes you outside of the concept of taking you away from your source. It takes you back to the true essence of who you are and the true creation of everything. And certain things just start to line up with the body as well. Because once you understand the creation of the realm, the construct, you understand that it's a toroidal field. Well, what is your heart? Your heart is a toroidal field also. It's an electromagnetic field, toroidal field. And you'll see that the body is perfectly mirrored off of this creation that we're in. The body's a temple for the soul. The construct, you could say, is a temple for the realms. But all of the NASA things that they talk about, these are just CGI composite images. And you can't really, when someone's that far down that, it's very hard to break them free in a sense. And that's why even people that I've shown this to, the teachings of doing the out-of-body state, there are many, many people other than myself that have seen exactly what I'm telling you. It's not just me. There's a group of people that are waking up to this truth. And this truth is the truth that will change everything. The biggest lie, other than the lie of we die and get you to fear death, is a lie of what this place that we live in. You lie about the very place you live in, the foundation of where you are. I mean, that's pretty big. You lie about that foundation, you get people to believe in not that truth of the foundation of the creation of this. Then every path that they take from that point is always going to hit some dead-end road or a dead-end path or a brick wall. So whoever is listening to this, I'm telling you, when you go back to that truth, you will realize that this place is created. And just as biblically they referred it into the text. And it's not only just Christianity that they refer this to. They referred it to this place that I'm telling you about, the firmament. They've depicted this through every ancient text that's out there. The indigenous people here in Australia, the Mayans, when you go up there, they tell you this. But the suppression of knowledge, the suppression of information is what puts you into the dark. And all they've ever done was rewritten history, suppress the truth, because once you figure out the truth, just you as a soul, it changes you forever. you walk in the path, as what you could say, I'm just using this lightly for people, but you walk in the path of God, or you walk in the path of truth. You walk in the path of integrity. You walk in the path of love because you know that is who you are. And you know the things that you do here do matter. A lot of people don't know what they're doing, but you could say there are people here that know exactly that which they're doing. And this is where you go back into the fall, the war in heaven. There has been so much based off what I've seen that has been going on behind the scenes. And we're just getting pictures of things. But when you realize the entirety of the picture, then you realize, wait a second, this is actually, you call it the art of war. Because how do you get a soul? Understanding what the soul is. This is in the place of the know. When you understand what the soul is, you understand that the soul is infinite, has the infinite power to create that which it desires and wills. And that's including here. When you get a collective amount of souls putting their energy into a certain belief or a certain thing, that will start to create that event to occur. So when you have a group of souls here that have all forgotten and also being controlled in that aspect, then you are able to create things within this realm due to everybody's soul's will, unaware of that which they're doing. But when a soul is awake, truly awake, and every soul becomes awake in that aspect, there is nothing that could stop you or stop that. The moment people step out of fear and greed and back into love, nothing could stop that. It is impossible to stop that field of energy from rippling through the entirety of this realm. And so even when all this is seen and known, it becomes a biblical event, and not biblical in the way of fear, because this is how they distort and twist information and twist history, is to constantly put you in a state of fear. Fear in and of itself is the number one way to have dominion over your soul and your soul expression. It limits you. So there's nothing to fear in love. There's nothing to fear in freedom. And that's what you are. Your soul, every single soul, has the same capacity and ability to do as every other soul. And this is why every other soul is honored on the other side. You could say the highest form of honor is the soul experience and the wisdom that it holds. But every single soul is honored equally on the other side because they have the same divinity, the same spark within them of creation of all things. And so, yeah, all of these other races, beings, within the entirety of this construct, all of the realms, they're totally aware of everything that's going on here. And so can we be as well. And so will this information be remembered again. They know our abilities. They know who we are. They know exactly our capacity and what we could do. And they use that to keep people in the dark. They put you in the dark of the other side. They put you in the dark of all of the other races that have been here before and are here. They cloud the truth of all these things so you can never find the truth, including the dark around the very creation of this place, to keep you in the dark that your soul is eternal. It is infinite. It will never die, and nothing will ever touch your soul. And when every near-death experiencer, every person that has had a controlled out-of-body state, as I've stated in the beginning, when they see it, it changes them because automatically they're in a place of remembering again. There's something that gets sparked within them where they start to remember and walk that path. But I know this is a big one because a lot of people have been lied to so many different things that it's harder to tell somebody that they've been lied to than lying to them in the first place. And that's okay. That's completely fine because all of these things, all this information once was, I'm not going to tell you that I wasn't angry figuring certain things out. And so the only thing that I wish to do is just wake people up to this. That's it. That's the whole purpose. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Otherwise, a group of people wouldn't be here anymore. This place was not originally supposed to be like this based off what I was showing. This whole universe, this construct, particularly realm one, was to experience that which we are not on the other side. So you have the illusions here of pain, you have the illusions here of death, all through the physical body, because your soul doesn't experience those things. And when I stated unconditional love, yes, that is what we are. The souls are in a state of unconditional love. But you could say to truly understand and truly step into unconditional love in a way that you've never stepped into it before, you would have had to experience the unlovable things. You would have to have experienced that which it is not to be in unconditional love, to then go back to unconditional love to fully understand it in a way that we have not yet understood it before or fully stepped into it before. Because when you experience the opposite of you, it gives you a certain perceptual wisdom that would have never been birthed unless it was experienced. So you could say, in order to be a true master here, you would have experienced the most harshest environments in order to be birthed into that master. In order to love unconditionally, love everything and everyone unconditionally, you are a soul that has also experienced those unlovable things. So the design of this place, based off what I've seen, was to gradually forget who we are of our true state, to then remember again, remember us, stepping back into our divinity and changing the body to reflect that as well. These bodies are supposed to be living biblically even to 500, 900, 1,000 years old. And it's only because of the suppression of the soul, the connection of the soul, which they do through many things, the suppression of putting you into fear, trying to cut you off from who you are, even though that's impossible. But they can make you step away from those things because people have been so suppressed of the true nature of reality. And they've been cut off by just focusing on the system that we're in, work, survival. And when you're in that state, survival, fear, it cuts you off from remembering your soul purpose, you, where you come from. Because when a soul remembers that, this is where you start getting really incredible changes. This is where you get people that get older, but yet they carry the youthfulness within their vessel because their soul is the one that's generating the physical vessel. No different from when you're inside of a house. If you look at homes, you're going to have a home where someone's living inside of a home. And because that individual is inside that home, that soul is within inside that house, the energy is there and it supports it. Now, if you take that individual away from the house for 3-6 months, this is actually scientifically proven and studied. Rapidly, the house starts to decay when nobody's living within it. And the same thing happens to your physical body. They have tried to disconnect people from their soul essence, stepping outside of their physical form, having no connection to their true state, their true home. And what happens, just as the house to the physical body, the body starts to rapidly decay, starts to die quicker, starts to age quicker. You could sense it and you could see it in the eyes too. An individual that has, in simpler terms, doesn't have a lot of spirit, a lot of soul within them. But this was supposed to be a very gradual thing, stepping back into your true state and stepping back into heaven here. And this is what's going to happen here anyways. There's such a mass shift that's happening at this moment that everything will change, man. I mean, and you have to, all of the old systems have to fall in order for that change to be presented. This is why I say, when you're trying to search for the light or the truth, the closer you get to the source of light, the bigger the shadow becomes. The closer you get to the truth of things, the bigger the shadow is going to become. And therefore you are going to see all of the distortions and the things that you are not. Nothing can control your soul unless you believe it to be so. A lot of people have given their power away. They've given their power away through the belief that their soul could be touched. Understand who you are. Whatever you believe, whatever you will, therefore it is so. So if you believe that your soul could be touched in the prisons, therefore you will create it to be so. And fear is that self-imposed prison on the soul. So it's more of a question that I usually ask people to get them to think. Does the universe dictate consciousness, or does consciousness dictate the universe? When someone's in that state and they think about it, if they were to say, no, the universe dictates consciousness, then you are in the belief, the false belief that you die, that there is an end to you, and that you are not an infinite being and live on forever. You believe in materialistic possessions, materialistic things. I need this and I need this, when you never take those things with you. So it's a very materialistic view that a lot of people are stuck in, when it actually is your consciousness, your soul is the dictator of the universe around you. It's as simple as understanding that your soul creates through the will of your word, your spoken word. What you do on the other side, you create things as well. Even your field is creating these things within your subconscious or within your field that you can access. Your soul is the creator of everything. Your consciousness is. We have the ability to create things here. And people that don't understand this, and they have forgotten at the most basic level of who we are. We are creator beings on the physical sense and at the soul sense. Physically, we think of something and we create here. The soul sense is no different at all. Consciousness is the dictator of the universe. And you cannot have ultimate expression of freedom with a limitation, and your soul is not limited unless you believe it to be so. Nor can your soul ever be trapped or imprisoned unless you believe it to be so. And you cannot have unconditional love with a judgment. These are the three unchangeable things in creation itself. They can never be changed and they can never be broken. And so nothing could control or entrap your soul unless you believe it to be so. The mere belief that you are trapped in a prison, or there's a soul trapped and you're forced to come back here, comes from the belief that you could be entrapped in a prison. And if you hold that belief, therefore it will be so. When you step out of fear and step out of all of the indoctrinations and prisons of fear that you put yourself in or have been told, when you step out of that entirely, nothing could ever touch or entrap your soul, ever, unless you give it the power to be so by believing it to be so. Your will and your belief dictate how the body expresses itself, as I stated already, but it also dictates what you experience as well once you leave the body. And this is on the same path of people that have near-death experiences. If they have a strong fear-based belief system in hell, depending on how strong that belief system is, they will temporarily experience that until they say, I've had enough, please help me. And then they reach out and then they access all things again. Same thing is true for this. Nothing could touch you. Release yourself from the prisons of fear and you will truly be free. Nothing could ever touch the soul. That is one of the biggest lies that's out there, that you can imprison your soul. Your soul can never be touched. That's important, man, because a lot of people still believe that they could be entrapped in a prison. People that hold that belief structure have not changed. It's the same level of consciousness in the fear-based religion that is just transferred into the New Age propaganda. Same level of consciousness. One, you will go to hell, eternal damnation. One, you are soul trapped and stuck here. It's the same consciousness. And where is this consciousness? It is things and belief structures out of fear, which is the opposite of love. So these are just things to disempower your soul, disempower you, and take you further away from who you actually really are and the power that's within inside of you. And when I talked about before also, being yourself, the highest frequencies is integrity and authenticity. So when you step out of yourself or judgment on yourself, in essence, you're hating yourself. You're hating your unique signature. And every single soul has a unique signature. Every single soul. As soon as you cross over, I tell you this, as soon as you leave, permanently, you will only be honored and loved on the other side for who you are. So stepping into yourself in that way is just loving yourself. It's a state of love. You can't walk away from yourself. You can hide yourself. But the moment you start hiding yourself and hating on yourself for who you are, your aspect of you, you will start to self-manifest illnesses within the body. You will start to be depressed because a lot of people are walking now and living this life as if the universe dictates consciousness. so consumed with the things that they see physically, so consumed with the things that don't necessarily matter. Once you realize what truly matters, then you're honored and loved all the same. Even the wicked things that have been done here are still honored and loved all the same. And that is the state of true unconditional love. And the only example I could give you of that is through a mother and a child. A mother gives birth to two children. Child A is a saint. Child B is the opposite of that. No matter what that child does, in pain or outside of love, the mother will still love them both unconditionally. And the same is true for you and every single soul. You are loved unconditionally no matter what you do. That's true love. But with that also said as well, the things that you do, you are the judger of yourself. No one's judging you on the other side. You judge yourself. And the regrettable is the unforgettable on the other side, just like the unforgivable sin is a sin that you cannot forgive yourself for. And this is why you should be doing things in love, because that's the pain that you're going to carry on the other side. Not judgment of another being towards you, but the judgment that you cast on yourself. And when you are walking in the path of love, the essence of love, in your mission, your sole purpose, things start to get supported. You start walking in the path of love, things start to change for you. I would say the number one thing that anybody needs to do, you could visualize on this or that, but the number one focus should always be love. Because in love, everything becomes possible in that state. That is the creation point from everything. And it's not love in the way that you've been told through the New Age movement. It's not that. That's conditional love, passive love. Love is not passive, nor is it submissive. Take a mother and a father that have a child. You put that child in harm's way. That mother and father will pierce through all limitations and barriers. They'll pierce through all mountains to protect the child. That is love. Love is more courage as well. That is the true frequency of love, and it has been so perverse and twisted. So when I say love, people automatically will put that into just allow, do nothing. That is not love. Love is a very active, very powerful force when you apply it correctly. And this is why I'm trying to remind people the true state of love, because once you step into that, it changes the reality, the people around you, and how your cells express themselves within this physical body as well. So that would be the number one thing that I would focus on. And when you step into that place, then you'll start to realize a lot of the things that you were thinking about having or doing weren't actually in a place of love, but they were in a place of greed. And you could say the abyss of the soul is greed. Yeah, it's an endless abyss. But when you step into love, you realize, carry the full armor of God, of your soul, of your divinity again with you. And that's the thing that changes things. I've come to that. I've stated that to myself many times. It's just like, okay, well, I could leave at any moment. And same with every other soul can. But once you are a soul that is in the know, you wouldn't want to leave, because you know how many souls here are asleep to their true state, suffering. And so that is the thing that has kept me here personally, for the love that I could share from the other side as me as a soul here to every individual through spreading this message and sharing that with people accordingly, getting them to step into that. Because when you see the works that have been done here to individuals and you do nothing when you know that something can be done, then you become the very evil that is doing things here. The silence of individuals is participating in the very evil here within this realm. And so that's why I'm here, because I'm no longer silent. I'm not going to remain silent. I will take this to to when I cross over to the other side. This is what I will do from here on in, from the moment I leave. And you don't even need to experience a controlled out-of-body state or near-death experience. All someone needs to do is be remembered of their true state of where they come from. This is why when people have someone that has passed away, a loved one, that is actually one of the most exciting pivoting points for an individual, because they could start to question, well, where did they go? And when they start questioning where did they go, then they start questioning within themselves, well, where are they at? Who am I? And you could access this information, is what I'm saying too. All the information is out there through countless people too. There's so much at work here to wake people up. You're talking about a lot of the things written down biblically, the angels, the seraphims, the entities, they're all true. So the word the great work was told to me when having all these out-of-body experiences that I've had. It was actually told to me. I said, okay, so what could I do? What is the purpose of this? What could I actually do here right now? And they said, oh, do what's considered the great work, which is waking people up to the other side. Because when they wake up to the eternal aspect of who and what they really are, they wake up to everything. And so I've been on a pursuit since then to wake people up to the other side by doing the great work. And that's my whole mission now, to wake people up, not just through preaching about it, but showing them tools of how they could see it for themselves. Because seeing is believing. Was for me, it is for a lot of people. And so that is the only reason why I do these things, because it's just the pursuit to wake people up to the other side. Have an out-of-body experience if you want. That's fine. But even if you don't want to do that, maybe just the words that I'm using, how I'm speaking to you, get you to remember something, ping something within you to remember, or question, where do I come from? Who am I? Those are the only two questions you need to really be asking yourself, and then you'll come to the realization over time. And people will see in the coming years, there's going to be such a shift within this realm of people remembering who they are, where they come from, what this place is, the full disclosure of things, not necessarily in means that people think it will be disclosed, but people will remember again. And once that is remembered, then you have a whole group of souls that is dedicated to trying to wake people up to themselves, to their home, to love.